What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube world? Well, we just had a storm move through last night. The lawns were just finally starting to dry out to where I could cut everything. I was starting to get into those spaces where I could cut everything, and now it is back to, well, it's pouring down rain right now. I just got another storm coming through. So the storm we had last night plus this thunderstorm coming through right now. So we're back to saturated lawns. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, so you ask, I answer. I'm going to answer some more questions. I got some comments on the last video. Um, Not so. Some were. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Those are the ones that really cracked me up. After 23 years in the business, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have no idea about this standard revolution. I was here. I was here when it all started. When Great Dane came out, I was here. I know what I'm talking about. They just now started to uh, get the speed up to where they're actually worth taking a look at. The biggest problem with them was the speed and the hillside stability. That was the biggest issue with them. Now you have the ZK killer, and you have the Z3, and possibly I heard the what's that called? The Gravely Pro stance um, is up there in speed. But as far as productivity, speed is speed. You're not cutting at 12 mile an hour. There's not a deck out there that can handle the load. So let's say that you're cutting at 5 mile an hour at with a 61-inch deck on either, or you're going to be just as productive. There's nothing, some um, my thoughts on it is, when you want to come up over a lawn instead of scalping it, I put my foot on the pedal, it comes up a little bit. Or if I just need to go over a couple lines, I could put my foot on the pedal and go over a couple lines real quick. You can't just sit there and hold the deck up and try to, there's pros and cons to everything. But to say I'm clueless, I don't know what I'm talking about. Man, listen, I've been doing this. I was here when the sulky was the king. The Toro T-Bar, the 52-inch with an 18 Kohler Pro Command with a bull ride sulky. Get out of it. Get I don't know what I'm talking about. Been doing this for, it seems like, forever. And I've seen the trends come and go. I see this trend going a lot better. Um, the last video I talked about making sure, like, now is the best time to demo a mower. If you're going to demo a mower, demo it right now while the grass is really growing. While, I noticed, a lot of the guys with the right standards, when they show their video, they're not going to show you the mess they're making because they don't want to make the right brand look bad. They'll show the before and after, or they'll show you the striping. But once it gets close to the camera and you get to see the mess they make, these are things that you have to look at. Look at this stuff. Look at the mess that these mowers are making at prime time. If you got to cut it 3-4 times. If you don't have a bagger, sometimes you do have to cut it 3-4 times. All I'm saying is be careful, even me. I like the Ferris deck mower. I also like the Exmark mower. But in your area, it might be an issue. Though your area might have a different type of grass, it might have a whole new type of issue. And listen, I am not a fan of John Deere at all. The only thing I'm a fan of is their parts department because they're so big. But outside of that, I'm not a fan of John Deere at all. Um, when I went to the beach a couple summers ago over in Ocean City, that's all I saw was John Deere. So if I was cutting in that area, you better believe that I'd be owning a John Deere. I'm not brand loyal. I want to know what can cut the grass the best. And after that, I'm owning that mower, whether it's Skag, whether it's I'm just saying the experience that I've demoed just about everything. A couple mowers that I haven't really looked at are Grasshopper. There's not a dealer around here. Really not interested in Grasshopper anyway. Um, the Gravely, I have not. I've been to the dealer. I've played around with them. I'm not sure about their deck. It's such a mixed review on that deck. I'm just not sure. Um, after the Gravely, yeah, yeah, in the speedos. Um, and I haven't played with Bobcat, but I've now seen enough of Bobcat around here. There's a couple guys that own Bobcat. They're starting to make their way up here, and I watch them cut grass. And basically, what I look for when I'm looking at a deck, because that's what we're looking at is decks. I look for that after first cut appearance and the mess that it makes. If it's making that big of a mess, that just tells me it's either too tightly baffled or just not the grass for it. And hey, it is what it is. It's just my opinion. I probably will own a stander when this is all said and done. Just to have some fun. Not, my lawns are a little bit bigger. I cut a lot more acreage than the average. I do have a couple city lots, but my average lawn, I would say, I don't know. I have a cemetery. I have some big lawns. I have some big lawns. So, you're sitting, there's a lot of time on that mower. There's a couple lawns where I'm on that mower straight for 2 straight hours. And that's not counting the weed whacking. That's just the mower itself. I would say my average lawn is probably 25,000 square feet. So there's a lot of sides of the house that are wide open. Um, I don't have too much. I do have some small lawns, but you know, they're not that. I have more of an open. I do have a couple lawns that have some hills on them. They're a pain in the butt. If the stander, I know the Z3 can take a hill, and when I demoed the ZK Killer, I didn't have any trouble with the side of a hill that I used it on. I didn't have any trouble at all. When they first came out, I got my hands on one. I cut 3 properties all on one street, and I had a lot of fun on the ZK Killer. Like I said, the thing that I noticed the most was after first cut appearance was just it was too shaggy, throwing clumps. And I know every mower throws clumps. I get it, but when it's excessive and it was excessive. It was just more than you could tell. You could just tell. Um, I would say, I would say, if you're looking at a stander, I would say ZK Killer and the Fairest, like I said in the last video, are the two. They're just beast. But if you're cutting some soft ground, they're just as heavy as a zero turn. I'm just not. I'm not a fan of how heavy that is. That's just a lot. I mean, you're talking 12, 1,300 pounds for a stander. And listen, you get that thing stuck on the side of a hill and it wants to come back on you. There ain't much you're doing to stop it. And if you're going to let it go, 10 for fall cleanups. And what about the Hurricane? What do you think about it? The PB8010, that's fine. Yeah, that's the best blower on the market right now, the most powerful. The Hurricane, if you're a municipality, if you have very large properties and you can afford a blower like that. Now, listen, fall cleanups, I wouldn't be spending $10,000 on a blower that for fall cleanups that you're. How much do you really make on fall cleanups? I mean, you're talking October and November around the Northeast, so that's 2 months. So you're going to sit on a 2 month. Um, so you're going to spend 8 grand, 10 grand on a blower to sit on it for 10 months. I'm just not sold. I mean, but if you need it and you have a municipality and you got yourself a really heck of a contract or you have some parking lots that you can blow, those are definitely interesting. More of a municipality blower. I've never been a big fan of it. They've been around for a long time, not just because Ferris bought them, but they've been around for a long time. And they're just not, unless you're doing municipality work or side of the highway or something where you got to go long, long stretches, it might make it worth it for you. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of that. The PB8010, yeah, 100%. The only two backpacks I think that are relevant right now, three, the Red Max 8500, 8550. I guess it's relevant, but if I had my choice between the Steel and the Red Max, I would take the Steel 800. The PB8010 is definitely the king of power. The Steel backpack to me is the most comfortable. I had an issue with the side start. It turned out it was a manufacturer defect. Took it back, got it. It has worked. It has worked to what it is supposed to. It starts pretty much exactly the way they said it would. Right now, the Steel 800 is my favorite blower out of all the blowers. I love the fact that you can take that tube and bring it up and bring it all the way in. Good morning. Bring it all the way in and just do that. I mean that to me, that's worth the price of admission. What's your favorite trimmer line? Been using Red Max line and love it. I was gonna get some of that Red Max line, but I didn't. All right, so my trimmer line is a little unique. It is Gator line, Magnum Gator line 0.80 square. It's the silver kind. It's a little difficult to find. That's my favorite line. Reason being is because it's lighter and it does last a while in the stringer, in the string trimmer. But because I run without a guard, I don't run heavy line. And the lighter the trimmer line, it's like razor blades cutting. I really like the lighter line. So Gator Magnum is my favorite. I just bought a whole spool of Echo Diamond Series 0.95. I don't run a lot of 0.95 in my trimmers. I run the Echo Head, and I just bought a brand new 94R, and I put a brand new Echo Head on it, and it has the Echo Crossfire. And if I showed you in my trailer, my Gator line is out flat, and when I put the trimmer back, the Crossfire is all tangled and messed, and it's just a mess. Gator line to me is my favorite line. I don't switch around too much, but I wanted to try the Crossfire, and it was cheap, so or not the Crossfire, the Diamond. So I'm going to try this Diamond. I've heard good reviews. I've heard bad reviews, but I'll let you know as soon as I'm done with that Diamond. I'll probably go right back to Gator line. When I first started, everything was Crossfire, Echo Crossfire, and then I ended up finding the Gator line. I've tried a couple other ones like Shakespeare and Ugly Line and all that. Those are garbage. Don't like them at all. I did use Husqvarna 94R. I bought a Echo speed feed head, and they make different attachments. And if you get the right one, if you order on Amazon, they'll give you the right attachment. There'll be like several attachments in there. I think it's the 450, and I just pulled the other one off, put it on my. The speed feed head is the best. To me, it's the best one of them all. I like it. I used to use from Lowe's the Husqvarna line. I like that Husqvarna line. And then it used to be Platinum line, and then they kind of changed it, and then it got cheap, so I stopped using it. I just bought. I'm so sorry you bought that Shakespeare spool. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. It's the worst trimming line ever. It does last a while, but it's just not a good trimming line. When you use a really good trimmer line, you'll always know the difference. Like the Shakespeare, the Ugly Line, is when it came out, it always bent, so you were never using the very end of it. And I don't have an edger, so I always take the trimmer and edge it. So it's just easier to use it with good trimmer line. But as far as my favorite weed whacker is the 94R. I've had really good success with my 94Rs. They may be a tad bit underpowered if you get into some real thick high stuff. I like the Shindawa 80 twists, mulches up. I never used that, but that sounds, it might be a really good one. The Shindao might be a really, really good one. Um, so I talked to you a little bit about the standards again. A couple guys on here, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Blah, 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 blah. I'm clueless. I'm clueless. Generally, what I found with YouTube and forums is it's mostly guys who have not ever really used um, like zero turns, or they came from a walk behind, and all of a sudden, like I remember Nick from Saving Green. He had when he first came out, he had Hustler, he had some big zero turns. But most of his video, you could go back, just take a look when he had Justin and all those guys at the very beginning. Um, he used like a 48-inch skag walk behind because his area must have a lot of hills. And 48-inch walk behind compared to a 52 and 61-inch stander, I mean, that's a big difference. I mean, obviously, when you went from that to that, man, you just doubled your productivity. You're excited, you're happy, and life is good. But the truth is, the same thing would have been accomplished if you would have had a 61-inch deck on a walk behind. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, you wouldn't have been able to been as nice on a standard, but the productivity. But you see the productivity jump, boom, because when you see in most of his videos, the guys were cutting mostly with this little walk behind. Now he's cutting pretty much all with a 61-inch stander. So the productivity probably went from here to here. And that's what I generally find with guys that kind of argue with you a little bit, is they went from a Toro time cutter, and now they got themselves their first real zero turn, and now it's like boom, it's my productive thing, this is the best. They just haven't used anything else. They don't know any. They think their way is the best way. And like, I always used X marks. I went from Toro to X mark. X mark was the king. It still could be. I don't know. But after their prices got out of hand, you start looking at other brands and you find out, like, man, these other brands are just as good. Or you kind of like the things that these other brands incorporated, like Ferris. Ferris got a really bad rap here when they had the front deck that was squared off. Those cut really bad in wet weather. I mean, really bad. Those were just terrible cutting decks. And then they came out the ICD deck. The ICD deck first generation had some issues. Second generation had some issues. And now they've got it pretty much figured out. I mean, it's a really good deck. I haven't gotten myself into a situation I haven't been able to clean up yet, which is pretty good. I mean, I haven't had, put it this way, I haven't had to take a backpack out after I was done cutting and blow off a lawn. You know what I mean? So most of the time that guys are saying something to you, like, I had one a couple years ago, did a video about me and said, look what I can do. I can take my backpack blower and blow down the driveway. I said, why turn my blades on my zero turn and drive down the driveway? What's the difference? The wind from the blows it right in. I mean, first of all, I don't know, guys. It's just frustrating. First of all, I don't blow in beds. That's the number one thing. I would say about 70% of my properties don't even require a blower. I don't blow in beds. I don't blow on the back porch. I will blow on a driveway, and I just take the mower and blow up the side of the driveway and down the other side. I don't like. Do you know how much time you waste blowing in beds, and I mean, that's like another 10 minutes of blowing. Blow the driveway off, blow the sidewalk, blow the back patio, blow every bed, and then you mulch, and then you still blowing it. I don't get it. To me, the easiest way to make money and the best way to make money is don't make a mess. Don't make a mess you got to clean up. Sure, if you make a mess, you made a mistake, go blow it out. But I don't blow in beds. Aim the mower that way. Take your push mower and push mow those spots that you can't go. If it's that tight, don't take the lawn. I had one guy say, if I didn't take every 2-week cuts, I wouldn't have a. You're in the wrong area. You're not going to make money on 2-week cuts. I'm just going to go my area. On every other week cuts, if you if you are getting, say the lawn, most of the time, 9 times out of 10 here, if someone's calling, they want their lawn cut every 2 weeks, it's a financial situation generally. So they call you, their lawn weekly price, let's say it would be $40. If you can get it to $60, then maybe you can do it. But generally, they're not going to do they're not going to do that. Getting some triceps there, Johnny. What? what are triceps? Oh, you mean muscles? Oh, get out of here. I eat good. Every other week lawns are terrible this time of year. Are terrible this time of year. And what happens is you get them, you go back, you spend all your time making $45 trying to make the lawn look nice. You can never do it. It's a mess. You're frustrated. They want you to cut it shorter because, the old thing with, Edith comes out of her house. Johnny, my husband cut this. It was just short. You leave 2 days later, Johnny. It doesn't look like you were here, Johnny. Johnny, you go way too fast. Way too fast, Johnny. My husband cut it all day long. Of course he did. He didn't want to hear your mouth, Edith. Of course he did. Of course he cut it all day long. He probably cut it every day of the week. Johnny, way too fast, Johnny. Can you cut it shorter? No, I can't cut it any shorter, Edith. My mower don't cut that short. My mower doesn't cut to the ground. I don't like X blades because it's too much draw on the motor. It's just too heavy. I haven't seen the benefit. I'm a big component of high lift blades only. I'm not a mulch guy. If you study the way the decks work, mulching blades work great for leaves. They do not work great for spring grass. All it does is pack it in there like a snowball. Understand what the mulch blades are trying to do. Gator 5, Gator 6, Gator 100. So Gator blades keep the grass in the deck longer so it can recirculate and cut. Well, when you're cutting spring grass and it's wet grass and it's filled with nitrogen, all you're getting is clumps. It's just a mess. You want a high lift blade to get the grass out of the deck as fast as you can. Let it dry, raise your deck up a half inch, and go over it again. If it's really bad, go over it another way. If it's not as bad, then go over the same lines real quick. Don't go over it 3-4 times because it'll leave that pressed down look. And then when you come back, it won't look right. So if you think you can go over the same lines once or twice, just twice, that's fine. If you start going over 3 or 4, you're going to mat it down. So the high lift blades is what I recommend on all mowers. I really like the X-Mark and the Toro decks because they shoot it out over, the X-Mark especially shoots it over about 3 passes. And it spreads it out nice and even. The problem with the X-Mark is you're probably hitting beds and making a mess too. That's where the X-Mark gives you a little bit of issue because you're blowing in beds everywhere. The Skag and the ICD deck are kind of similar in how they deal with things. The Skag deck will throw it about a pass and a half, a 61-inch, if it's thick, and it'll lay it out in a big fan. It opens it up in a fan. ICD is much the same way. The two decks generally don't throw too many clumps. Johnny, I've built a good customer base and good reviews on Google. My phone is blowing up and starting to think needing more help. I am. I'll answer that in a minute. The Skag deck and the ICD deck from Ferris, they kind of leave it like a hayfield when it's thick. If you let it dry out and go a different way at a half inch, generally those two decks will clean it up. The Skag deck in the Northeast for me did terrible. I couldn't clean the mess up. It just didn't do well. The Ferris deck with the shorter fan sails do the best in the springtime for me. To answer your question, should I hire a helper? Should I hire a helper? I got a nice customer base. My phone is blowing up. I don't know. It's what you want. The problem with the lawn care industry is we don't treat it like a real business. It's not treated like a real business, and it's not if a plumber comes to your house after 3:30, you're paying him time and a half. If a lawn care guy comes at your house at 6 o'clock, you're still paying him the $40. The problem with the lawn care industry, we're not treating it like a business. We don't treat it like a business. We treat it like a side hustle. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, what are your goals? Like, no one comes into the business with goals. No one comes into the business. They just get a bunch of work, and then they 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 get a bunch of equipment, and then they do it. First thing I'll ask you is, hey, did you maximize your equipment first? Before you hire, are you using a 48-inch deck? Can you use a 61-inch deck? Is your equipment slow? Is it old? Have you maximized the equipment possibility? You can only do so much as a solo operator. I know, I'm there. Um, so, what are your goals? What are they? Do you want to run a big business with employees? Then, if you do, then this is the time to hire. You will see that employees are an issue, and there are channels that make it seem like there are hundreds of thousands of people that are ready to go cut grass for you from sun up to sundown, work 6, 7 days a week. If I were you, the goals that I would set would be like a plumbing business or an HVAC system. Um, I'm not working on Saturday unless it's rained all week and I get a day off, or I'm not working on Saturday. I don't know, it may be in the South, it might be different, I don't know that. I just know in the Northeast, in the Midwest, if you're cutting every other week lawns, you're losing money. What I would look at if I were you, I would look at running like an HVAC system. I wouldn't work on Saturdays unless the people paid me time and I really wouldn't. You're like, Johnny, there's no way you would do that. Oh, there's absolutely. Like you bid all these mulch jobs and all these extra jobs, and then you go do them on a Saturday after you've mowed all week, and your guys are on time and a half overtime. If you're running a legit company, most of these guys are handing their best friends, "Hey, can you come help me out for today? I'm going to hand you 100." Eventually, you're going to have to do it the right way. Eventually, you're going to have to say, "Hey, listen, I got to pay, workman's comp. I got to do all this." And you'll see the numbers change really quick. And then workman's comp at the end of the year, if you worked a lot of overtime, boom, they give you a special little gift at the end of the year and say, hey, listen, you worked this much overtime. Here's another $1,000 bill. Not sure where you are in the South, but we're in Great Nashville. It's booming. Yeah, we have those folks that want. So I would say, what are your goals? Be very careful of the spring rush trap. The phone is ringing. There's lots of work out there, but you have to know your limit. I would also be very picky on my hire. Usually, when you first start out your first hire, you gotta begin with the end in mind. I would start out and I would start looking at, can I afford benefit packages? When you're hiring somebody, an employee will leave you if you don't give him enough not to leave you. That's the key to keep an employee. You want the formula for keeping an employee, it's simply this: time plus money equals a happy employee. So if you pay a lot of money but they don't have a lot of time for their life, they generally will leave you. The problem is, we as business owners, We want to work, work, work. We've built our business. We work 70, 80 hours a week easily. Um, um, and then we expect them to do that. And if minimum wage is 7.75 or $8 an hour, we pay 11. I'm paying $3 more. Well, Sheets up there is paying 10.25. McDonald's is starting to pay up there, and you got to give them time plus money equals a happy employee. Give them time. See, if they're working 6, 7 days a week for you, they can't do the things when their car breaks down. Well, they can't do anything because they're working all the time. When their grass needs cut, so the one day they get off, boom, they're cutting their grass and they're doing all the chores that they have to do because they're working for you. Like, oh, this generation's so lazy. Listen, I don't know that the generation is as lazy as we're just unrealistic sometimes. I can tell you, running 2 crews, I was I was I was unrealistic. We worked, work, 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 work every day, Monday through Saturday. We took every Sunday off, and we just worked, 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 worked. So the one day they got off, or some it would rain during the week like it is right now. Okay, it rained. Well, they can't cut their grass in the rain. So their car breaks down. How are they getting it fixed when they got to be at work? Well, they have to drop it off and figure out, and then you get mad because you got to work around their schedule, but you're not giving them any time to do anything. And it's because it's seasonal that we feel that pressure. We got to make all this money. We got to do all these things, and then years go by your life. You're 10, 15 years, 20 years in the business. Like I said, myself, 23 years. I've seen it. I watch guys in this area. They're cutting at 9 o'clock at night. You're missing out on so much. You're burying employees. Have a normal schedule. Treat it like a plumber. Listen, if you bid a landscape and you can't get it in through Monday through Friday, and someone wants it done on Saturday, and they have to be done on Saturday, you give them the option up front. This is something I definitely would do different if I hired employees. I would tell the customer up front, this is your Monday through Friday's price. If something comes up, we can't get it, and you still want it done on a Saturday, I got to charge you more because I'm paying time and a half. Listen, if I call an HVAC company after 3:30, it goes from $70 an hour to $100 an hour. I'm telling you. And listen, these 2 girls right here. What am I going to do? Raise them? How am I going to raise how am I going to be a part of my kid's life if all I do is work sun up to sundown for an extra guys, the spring rush trap is a real thing. It will screw you up. It'll screw you up. You answer that phone, you keep taking all the work. I'm going to take it all. I'll just keep hiring, and then all of a sudden you keep going through employees, and all of a sudden you keep doing all this work. And then by the end of the year, you're like, where'd the money go? It was paid out in overtime. It was paid out in equipment. Guys, that's my time. That's enough for today. It's been fun. I still hear the thunder outside, so it's still thundering. But